Vivek Ramaswamy blasts CNN debate over exclusion, says only establishment insiders will be on stage. Ramaswamy and former President Trump have announced their own town hall events. I wonder if the Fox News is framing it this way because they're doing their own town hall. I think they're doing a town hall with Trump. So on the 10th of January, Timcast will be hosting a town hall event. I don't know if we can call it. It's a live stage event with a live audience with Vivek. And we're cramming this thing together. Basically what happens is we were planning on being in Iowa for the caucus on the 15th, doing a special show. It's a Monday, so it's... I don't know why I work so much, man. I'm out of my mind. It's expensive. It's extremely difficult, but we do it for you. So become a member at timcast.com because seriously,
you should.
We have to fly out Tuesday the 9th, right after the show finishes, be on a plane to Iowa, and then I got to wake up at 7 in the morning, 6 a.m. Iowa time to record my morning show. And it's going to be tough, but I want to do it. So we're planning this, and we wanted to find some good guests for the caucus. And of course, we got to talking to Vivek, who's been on the show a couple times. And ultimately, we were like, we could come longer and do something from the 10th to the 15th. So, you know what we ended up deciding to do is our own live event. We're lucky we were able to get Vivek, and we will be in Iowa with Vivek on stage. Tickets are being sold. I think they may be up now. This thing's been rushed together super quick. It's probably going to sell out super quick because only if there's a very small number of tickets available. And we're going to do our own version because I'm thinking to myself, screw CNN, screw their establishment insiders. We're going to do our event. We're going to do it. And so, here's why I bring this up. For one, we definitely want to announce that we're doing this. It's big news. Vivek is saying screw off. But in the previous segment, we're talking about how the media frames everything. Take a look at this article from the New York Times. Oh, I love to be included. Thank you, New York Times, for writing about me. Thank you, New York Times, for writing about right-wing commentator Tim Pool. Vivek said he would instead do a live show with the right-wing commentator Tim Pool on January 10th, the night of the debate. I love that. Fox News said Vivek will participate in his own town hall event next week. Well, okay, maybe they mean his own as in he's the sole guy on the show. Fine. We're basically doing the show live on stage. I believe Luke and Seamus will be with us as well. But you see how the media plays this game. Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are the establishment choices. And I think this is why Donald Trump doesn't want to be on those stages. He knows they're going to set up these debates in a way to prop up GOP and political insiders. So surprise, surprise. Same thing for Vivek. Vivek actually announced he wasn't going to do it before CNN even announced who was qualified. So I think it's funny that they say he blasts CNN over exclusion. I think we actually have let me pull up Vivek's tweet. And here we go. Here's the official announcement from Vivek, and I'll break down exactly what he said. Vivek Ramaswamy tweets, forget CNN's fake Iowa debate on January 10th, which will be the most boring in modern history. I gotta agree. Look, with Chris Christie, we laugh. With Vivek, we cheer. With Vivek, Ron, and Nikki, you get an interesting establishment versus anti-establishment dynamic. With just the two of them, they're gonna be like, well, Nikki, I agree with everything you just said. And then it's gonna be like that Futurama joke where, do you guys remember this one? Was it the two clones? And he's like, I think your tax proposal goes too far. Well, I think your tax proposal doesn't go too far enough. It's just so boring. But anyway, he says, we'll do that show with Timcast and said we won't hold back. Here's the backstory on CNN shenanigans. On December 13th, CNN disgracefully cut short its own Iowa town hall with me after I correctly pointed out uncomfortable truths about January 6th, which CNN instantly dismissed as conspiracy theories. On December 14th, CNN then threatened my campaign on the phone with a cease and desist and had YouTube black out the town hall after it got 200,000 plus views on YouTube in a matter of hours. Yet Nikki Haley's CNN town hall was still up after 6 months. 68K total views. Sad. Ha! Later on the 14th, CNN notified my campaign that multiple qualifying polls, which the RNC used for each of the RNC debates, mysteriously wouldn't count for CNN's fake debate in Iowa on the 10th. CNN senior media reporter Oliver Darcy wrote a newsletter that castigated his own network for allowing me to infect the public with his conspiracy campaign. Oliver Darcy, you are an evil person. I hope you know this because I've known Oliver Darcy for a long time. I have met him in person on numerous occasions. We know many of the same people, but this is Oliver is an example of malicious evil, Because I will tell you, Vivek is actually playing nice when he says January 6th looks like an inside job. The fact is January 6th was an inside job. That is a fact that is not in dispute. The only reason the media is pretending there's a dispute is because they're lying to you. Case in point. Capitol police officers escorted the shaman through the building to help him locate the Senate chambers and then opened the doors for him. That does not mean that Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi teamed up and colluded. It means that Capitol police officers who work for the government and our law enforcement facilitated many of the J6ers' misadventures. I am not talking about rioters. I am talking about the Capitol police who took selfies with people, got in trouble for it. That's what an inside job is. If a bank is being robbed and it turns out one security guard opened the door to let the robbers in, we call that an inside job. So when Oliver Darcy comes out and says it was a conspiracy theory, he is lying to you intentionally because he knows everything I just said. He is an evil person. Anyway, I digress. Commentator Van Jones said he was literally shaking when he heard Vivek speak, and my rhetoric is one step away from Nazi propaganda. CNN anchor Anderson Cooper said I delivered a soliloquy of conspiracy theories. That's just absolutely false and not true. Vivek actually nailed everything perfectly and was very light, actually. CNN anchor Pamela Brown said, and chief investigative correspondent said Vivek has a history of peddling disinformation. They're lying. Anchor Caitlin Collins said I use reasonable tone to sell sinister lies to people who aren't paying close attention and might think what he is saying maybe is legitimate. CNN's token conservative commentator, Alyssa Farrow Griffin, said my rhetoric is damaging to the country. So that's what Vivek put out this morning, announcing that he will be on the Timcast live town hall instead. And look, it's a crazy world, but we see through it. And every day, more and more people are waking up to what CNN does. The greatest example of this is when Caitlin Collins says he uses a reasonable tone to sell sinister lies to people who aren't paying close attention. It's fascinating. That's literally what Caitlin Collins is doing. If you are watching CNN, you're literally not paying attention. If you are reading Twitter, you're paying more attention. So it's varying degrees. Watching CNN is the opposite of paying attention. It would be like a dude who's selling balance bands and getting your medical advice from him. And he's like, don't listen to the doctors, man. Buy my rubber bands. They protect you from illness. You're like, yeah, wow. Could you imagine people who didn't know the truth? That's right. That's what CNN is. CNN is like those guys at the mall that would, you know those balance things they would sell?
No.
There's a magic trick you can do. Magicians do this to, I love this. Let's jump in. So let's say a magician wants to preempt their trick, like create an idea. They'll say something like, this is a magic wand, right? And I can prove it. Watch this. Hold your arms out. Put your feet together and hold your arms out. They'll then push down on your arm and you'll fall over, of course. He'll then say, now this magic wand, it's got magic powers, watch. Hold out your hands. He'll put the wand in your hand and then he'll pull down. But this time, no matter how hard he pulls down, you won't fall over. It's called the center of gravity illusion. What you do is the first time you pull down, you pull away, you down and to the right at a slight angle. The second time, down and in at a slight angle. One topples, one doesn't. When they're holding the magic wand, you're like, see, that proves, and they go, wow, it's magic. It granted you magic powers. So what happens is these guys start selling these wristbands, claiming they improve your balance, and they do a literal magic trick to trick people. Anyway, I tell you that because that's what CNN does. They're lying to your face. Oliver Darcy, you're a scumbag. And him and Caitlin Collins, she worked for the Caller. She knows what she's doing. These people are malicious evil. They know they're lying to you for profit, power, and money. They're just bad people, and they're claiming they're the real ones. Imagine finding a guy in an alley with a bunch of syringes, and he's like, "I'm a doctor. Trust me. Don't trust your doctor." You'd be like, "Wow, this guy knows the truth." That's CNN.
It's so funny to me. Listen, you call Oliver Darcy an evil person. He's the guy that got Alex Jones kicked off Twitter just because Alex was mean to him in Congress. Look at those eyes.
Let's clarify. Did Oliver Darcy get Alex Jones kicked off, or did Alex Jones get kicked off because of what he said about Oliver Darcy?
I think Oliver Darcy was going around complaining, like actively going and making reports and doing things like that. So
but if we don't know, we don't know. And
Oliver helped with getting rid of ads for InfoWars, and then Alex, called him out, and then the video circulated, and then Twitter saw that as some kind of...
But the reason why I make this distinction is I think it's more likely that all the big tech companies colluded with each other to remove Alex, and that was the excuse Twitter was looking for to make it happen. If we say Oliver Darcy did it, first of all, if he didn't do it, I don't want to say he did, but more importantly, I think it's substantially more important to point out that big tech colluded all at the same time to remove Alex Jones. Twitter was, I think, the last, and it was because they didn't have a strong enough reason to justify it. So as soon as they saw this video, they went, get him.
Yeah.
So it's scarier and more devastating when you realize massive multinational corporations were conspiring, as opposed to some guy we don't like sending an email. You know what I mean?
I get it. I just think it's hilarious that we're here talking about Oliver Darcy on for what for me is a bit like Alex Jones Day, because tomorrow his video game Alex Jones game is gonna be on Steam. So
it's out already though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's gonna be on Steam for the first time tomorrow.
For how long?
Steam says it's all good to go. They had no problem with it. And
like in the video game is him like fighting zombies and demons and stuff, right?
Well, he's on Epstein Island. There's a character called the Rapist. He looks very suspiciously like someone you might know. There's a character called the Wicked Witch of the West Wing.
That's a good one.
Are there not gay frogs?
There are definitely gay frogs in the video game.
Gay frogs.
Anyway, so that's what's going to be happening. I don't know what else there is to say about this big thing we're doing. I mean, we just kind of got a whole segment about out of the announcement that we'll be doing this town hall with Vivek. But it's going to be a blast. We're going to be in Iowa all Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the last show we're doing Monday. I just want to point out to everybody, it is bonkers degrees of difficulty to do stuff like this, because that means Monday night at like 11 p.m. Central, we have to get on a jet and fly back to D.C., and then I got to wake up in the morning for the morning show. So it's just, whew. And we're probably going to do this several times throughout the year, because this is the year to do it, man. 2024, baby. The primaries are going to be hot.
It's a big deal.
I'm just really curious what happens with, like, look, Haley and DeSantis are both polling at like 10%. And it's really sad for DeSantis that there was a point where DeSantis was the betting market favorite, which is wild.
Yeah.
And now he's beneath Nikki Haley.
This is typical of races, though. I mean, I can't remember the last time a presidential candidate got in and a year and change before the election was leading unless they were the incumbent. Yeah. Look at Barack Obama when he first came in. It took a while before he took the lead.
I'm gonna go now. Look, let me just say something, everybody. I get a lot of people, they say, Tim, you're so mean to people sometimes that they won't want to come on your show. And I'm like, the people I'm mean to, I don't care if they come on my show, okay? Anybody I call evil and like a scumbag, I'm going to call them that because that's how I feel. And if that means they don't want to come on my show, fine. Could you imagine if I was like, I better not call that evil prick a scumbag, because then I won't be able to bring him on my show for internet points? Sorry, not interested. But let me just tell you, I'm just gonna say all this stuff, which I probably shouldn't say considering, but I'm going to say it anyway. Someone asked, why don't we get a debate with like RFK Jr.? He won't do it. RFK Jr. won't do it. And we've asked several times. Okay. I'll tell you this. If my team reaches out to you and says, would you be interested in any one of these? And they say no, I got no problem saying they will not do it. Okay. And there are people that are like, yeah, but if you put them on blast for this, then, they're never going to want to come on your show. Don't care. If RFK Jr. doesn't want to come on the show, he doesn't have to. He doesn't owe me any favors. But if we give the potential for high-profile debates that no one else can do, or high-profile conversations that no one else can do, and these people refuse to do it, then I'm going to point out they won't do it. They want the safety blanket that is CNN. And I'm not exaggerating. I like Marianne Williamson a lot, but she won't do it either. It was hard enough to get her on the show. I like her. I think she's a good person. I think she's wrong about a lot of things. I think we informed her of things she wasn't aware of. And Marianne Williamson doesn't want to do outside debates because she is scared. And RFK Jr. is scared. They are terrified that if they sit down on a show like this, we're going to say Epstein list, who's on it? And they're going to go, uh-oh, if I did CNN, they'd ask me really boring and easy questions. Go for it. I can't wait for the day that CNN finally closes its doors because we get more in the key demo than they do. And then when you want to have the debate, it's going to have to be with Steven Crowder, Patrick Bet-David, Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, or Timcast. Because sooner or later, that's going to be the game. And only people like Vivek Ramaswamy and Donald Trump, because he goes on these shows too, are going to be the ones who can make it in politics. But for the time being, when someone says, why don't you get RFK? We've asked him a million times. He's scared. Okay. I'm not trying to be a dick, but we've been told like, look, we can't do it. With respect to Marianne Williamson, she told us explicitly, like, these debates on cable TV are like, we know what they're going to ask. And a show like this, you don't even know. And I'm like, what do we do on this show? We pull up the top trending news stories and we will talk about them. What's the big story right now? The Epstein list. What else? Vivek is saying he's not going to debate. What do we got next? Dave Chappelle special. If you cannot talk about the top trending news, you should not be in politics. Go cry. Go run home to your mama. Because she'll comfort you while you cry and say, the man asked me a hard question. Have fun.
What is Aleppo?
What is Aleppo? This is what they're scared of. But you know, the Aleppo question is perfectly in line with corporate questions. And when Johnson couldn't answer that, or even patter effectively, well, that said a lot about his ability to navigate the corporate press. But I got to tell you, man, when people say things like, these debates should be hosted by like Joe Rogan or Tucker Carlson, and I'm like, they absolutely should. And there's a reason why they won't do it.
A lot of this stuff seems like there is still residual or a residual effect from the media being the reliable sources. And I don't think the politicians or people that are hoping to be in positions of power have caught up to the fact that there are the portion of the population that no longer believes the official narrative, specifically because of COVID. I mean, most people agree that the average person didn't really need the COVID shot. There are groups of people that, you know, some people don't think any COVID shot was good. Some people are like, well, you know, if you were old or if you were, you know, if you had a compromised immune system, then it made sense. And fair enough, fine. There's room to disagree. I don't care. But the point is, because of the inconsistencies, because of the moving goalposts, because of the changing narrative over from the media and from the government throughout the whole thing, I think that the people in the U.S. are far more open to non-official narratives, and I think that the fact that politicians won't come to places like this, don't want to go to places like Joe Rogan, blah blah blah. I think that's because they haven't you know, assimilated or internalized the idea that these places are important now, because the establishment has hurt their credibility.
Think about the structure of these debates on CNN versus what Vivek wants to do. The structure of these debates on CNN is Governor DeSantis, with immigration happening in this country is a great crisis. Can you tell us why it is that you have sent migrants to places like Martha's Vineyard? Well, it's a great question, and I think immigration is a very important issue. Now, my administration in Florida, we have the best record when it comes to schools. In our schools, 5%, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for your question. And then you're like, that was 30 seconds, and I have no idea what was said. Now, imagine when you come on a show like this. There was a point where people brought up, I remember the specific example that Marianne Williamson didn't answer a question outright. And I just said, I kept asking it. And then it's just like, you have to answer it. Because like a conversation can't, it's not just that. It's like, I asked you a question, dude, you didn't answer. Like, I'm going to have to say yes, but I asked you this. Like,
these kind of shows demand a higher quality of politician. Someone at least that's capable of actually interacting with the person in front of them. And
Vivek wants to do that. Vivek wants to go on the show where no matter what question you have for him, he's going to answer it.
Yes.
And now here's the best. Well, I should say that is the best part about, and probably why someone like Vivek is doing so well. Their outright willingness just to say, throw me in the frying pan and I'll succeed.
There's a great book called Amusing Ourselves to Death, and it talks about how the medium completely shapes everything, where we used to be a society that reads, and then we became a society that watches television. Now we're becoming a society that watches podcasts. And so in this new frontier, if Trump weren't in the race, Vivek Ramaswamy would be ahead by 20 points himself, because he's willing to go on Timcast, he's willing to go on Patrick Bet David, he's willing to go on Alex Jones and actually have fully formed conversations, and people see the authenticity and they see the level of competence. You're not going to get that out of these establishment shills, because they're only memorizing 25-second talking points. They're not real. All they care about is making $1.
I want to stress this point. Anyone who tells you that Vivek is wrong about January 6th being an inside job is lying to you, okay? If you don't believe me, maybe it's the first time you've ever heard this. Maybe a friend said, hey, you should listen to this podcast, and you turned it on, and you went, that's so crazy. It wasn't an inside job. Just Google Q Shaman escort. Watch the video yourself, and then tell me, since when is it not an inside job when law enforcement facilitating security of the building assist the people they then later arrest? Okay, like they open the door for these people, take selfies with them. They also work in the building for the government. That's what inside job means. That's it. When Vivek says this, the woman on TV, she goes, where's your evidence that the Biden administration, blah, blah, blah. Well, hold on. Who said anything about that? This is the game they play. I'll say something like, January 6th was an inside job. Oh, yeah? What's your proof that Joe Biden orchestrated January 6th? I never said Joe Biden orchestrated January 6th. That was an inside job. They create a fake data point. I've made this example over and over again about fact checkers. They'll say, you'll watch a video of Donald Trump, high-fiving Shinzo Abe. And then a fact checker will come, did Donald Trump high-five Shinzo Abe? ... on Sunday. And then it'll say false. It'll give you this big long screed about how Donald Trump did not high-five Shinzo Abe, the light Shinzo Abe, mind you. And then at the very bottom will say, well, he did high-five them. He did not high-five them on Sunday. They add that fake information to it. Did Shane Cashman appear on Timcast IRL to discuss the election, Dave Chappelle, taxes, and other important American issues on Monday? False. He did not. It was Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's the game they're playing. And so what happens is your friends and family, your liberal aunt and uncle and cousins watch CNN, and CNN is doing that all day. When Vivek says January 6th looks like an inside job, then they come out and they go, and Vivek is claiming the Biden administration orchestrated January 6th. Oh, these people are out of their minds. He never said that.
I think their magic trick is starting to fail, though. Like, were you saying earlier that they changed the center of gravity? They're now calling you right-wing Tim Pool, and you're laughing about it. You know, they're going to have to start saying things like extremist militia leader Tim Pool. They're going to have to keep...
There's a limit.
They're going to have to keep saying things that are insane because what they're trying to push... Nowadays, it's mainstream ABC to promote a boy chopping his genitals off. Now he's a girl.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.